What is good, Regis recipients? How are y'all doing today? Let me know in the comment section. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Regis Reflections. Y'all already know each and every episode we have a different athlete on this podcast. And on this week, on this episode, we got my dog, Kaysen Wilborn. Say what's up to the people, Kaysen.
What is going on, guys? Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us on this episode. And how is your mental health doing today on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd say I'm doing pretty good. I'm like a nine. School's
Mm.
pretty much over, getting ready to graduate. I'm enjoying life right now.
Hey, life is
Sure.
good. Life is good. Graduation. Are you excited for graduation?
Yes, yes. My second one, so I'm excited for it to be over.
What would you say? Would you say you were excited as when you did undergraduate or?
Oh, yeah. I'd say I'm more excited honestly, because like the undergraduate one, I knew I was going to grad school, so I knew I was gonna have another graduation. For this one, it's like this is actually it. This is
I
actually my
know.
last graduation, so I'm excited.
That's lit. That's lit. I'm proud to have you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Regis recipients, Kaysen here is on the Notre Dame swim and dive team. So, Kaysen, is there a certain position that you are on this team at all? Could you just touch a little bit on your position on the team?
Yeah, so I mean, with swimming, there's not really positions.
Mm,
Obviously, it's just kind of like what events you do.
mm.
So I'm a sprinter. I do sprint butterfly, sprint freestyle. I'm on a lot of the relays. I was a captain my senior year, and this year I'm just kind of old head that helps out where I can, try to help the young ones and the current captains. So yeah, lots of fun. I'd say that's my role currently.
So do you enjoy swimming and kind of just that whole aspect of the swim and dive part?
Yeah, no, I love swimming. It's swimming, and you'll ask any swimmer, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. Like when you're doing practices, you're doing the 20-hour weeks, you're in the whole like you hate it. But
Mm,
then as soon as you like get a little break, like you take a few days off, it's like, dang, I'm ready to get back in the water because it's something you've lived with your whole life. You learn to love it. So I love swimming for sure.
so interesting. So, Kason, where are you originally from?
Yeah, so I'm from Virginia Beach, Chesapeake originally.
Mm,
It's in Virginia,
mm.
757. So a lot warmer than South Bend, but excited to get back.
Would you say that there are a lot of swimmers out there in a sense? Is that a popular thing out there?
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty popular sport because it's a coastal town, so like
Mm,
obviously with like the beach there and everything, a lot of people know how to swim. In terms of competitive swimming, it's like pretty much the same as the rest of the US, I would say. Like a decent amount of people swim, but it's not like a big sport for sure.
So, whom or what age did you kind of start doing swimming, and whom or what got you into that?
Yeah, so my mom was a college swimmer at Old Dominion University, which is a state school in Virginia.
Mm.
So she taught me how to swim when I was like really young. Like I think she first put me in the water when I was like 2 months old, 6 months old, something like that. And then I joined my first like competitive team when I was 4.
Mm. Oh,
And obviously, I mean, it's competitive. You're 4, like it's just kind of splashing around and having fun. But then I really started taking swimming seriously around like 9 or 10 was when I
mm.
realized like I had a shot of possibly doing this in college. So
So with your mom being a swimmer, did you at an early age, did you often practice a lot and swim a lot due to that? And did she kind of teach you in a sense? Did she kind of teach you the skills and tricks?
yeah, so like she taught me the basics of swimming.
Mm,
But she never wanted to be like she was a swim coach, but she never really wanted to be my swim coach because she wanted me to have like other coaches. Like she didn't want her to be the one person telling me how to swim. Like she wanted me to see the wide array of like different techniques and stuff. So like
mm.
she coached me every once in a while, but for the most part, she was coaching different groups than I was in, and I had my own separate set of coaches.
Wow, wow. So did you like it? Did you enjoy it better that your mom taught you swimming, or did you prefer other coaches?
Um, I mean, it's like both. Like, I mean, I appreciated all of it. Like, there's definitely some coaches that like still to this day I still talk to from. I mean, one of my coaches started coaching me when I was like 8, and I still text him like every week just because I don't know, he was a big part of my life and
Mm.
just he coached me from when I was 8 to high school, so or to
Wow.
senior year of high school. So it's like people like that mean a lot to me. But at the same time, it's like my mom taught me a good amount too because I'm with
Mm.
her every day.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like which one I preferred more.
That's good. That's good. So in high school, you have basketball, kind of football, volleyball. Those are sports that are mainly in school. Was swimming part of your school curriculum, or did you have to do swimming outside of school, like after school in the club?
Yeah, so the way swimming works, I guess baseball is kind of a good comparison in a way. It's like there's a high school swim team, but because it's high school and it's a winter sport, like you only practice from what, like October and then the season's done like February. So like
Mm,
from February to November, you're not swimming if you're just a high school swimmer. So most competitive swimmers are also a member of like a club team,
mhm.
which is kind of like that's the team where like you go compete on the national stage or you have more meets. It's throughout the year. As opposed to high school swimming, it's just like 4 months and you're just kind of like high school football or any other high school sport. Like it's just
This is-
kind of more for fun in a way.
And did you play club? Did you do club swimming at all?
Yes, yes. I swam club from sixth to senior year of high school.
Wow. So could you just touch a little bit on just how that experience was just playing club and just anything special about it for you?
Yeah, I mean, so I was always growing up, I never joined like the big club team in my area. So
Mm,
like the way swimming works is like typically there's one really big club that has all the star swimmers. Um, and for me, I was never a part of that club. I always swam for like the smaller club that was maybe like only like 50 to 100 swimmers as opposed to like 500 to
mhm.
1,000. So like, and because of that, like it, I liked it more. I liked being on like the smaller sort of underdog team because
Mhm.
you get to know everybody on the team. Like I knew all the coaches, I knew all of my teammates. It wasn't like these big teams, they practice out of like four different pools. You don't know everybody. You go to meets, like you'll be on a relay with somebody you've possibly never met. And it's like I kind of like the fact that I was close with my teammates. Like I still talk to a lot of them today, even though they didn't swim in college. And like it's I like the smaller aspect of it. So I really appreciated that aspect of club swimming.
Wow, wow. And you said like sometimes you all play winter, sometimes you all swim during the winter season. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if it's cold outside, do you all go do outdoor pools or indoor pools?
It depends. So like Notre Dame, for example, like we don't
Mm,
have an outdoor pool
mm,
because if we did have an outdoor pool, it'd get used maybe like 2 months out of the year. But back home for me, I'd say about half of the pools are outdoor. Um, one of the club teams actually practices in it year round. I wasn't on that club team, but like I think they're crazy for that because there's some days it'll be like well below freezing and they're still out there swimming in an outdoor pool and like no, that's not for me. But I pretty much grew up swimming indoors all the
mhm,
time, with the exception of the summer.
mhm.
I mean that's when you typically swim outside, get a little tan going. So
Wow, the freezing, that's crazy. They actually made people swim in that weather.
yeah.
So you ended up here at the University of Notre Dame with swimming. So what kind of was the decision point and the background for you coming to Notre Dame and continuing your swimming career here?
Yeah. So for me with the recruiting process, like so coming into college, like swimming's not a sport where like you're gonna go pro unless you're like the cream of the crop, like top 2% in the world. Like
Mm,
you're not gonna make a lot of money in swimming, and it's just the way the sport is right now. So I based my recruiting off a lot more of the school and less so on the swim team. So like when I was getting recruited by Notre Dame, it was by far the best academic school
mm,
I was talking to. And so because of that, like I knew once I took my visit here, I knew this was the place I wanted to be. I loved the school, I loved my teammates, and like even though at the time the swim team wasn't like a top 20 team in the country,
mm,
like I saw the potential and kind of like what I was talking about with like being on a smaller club team, like the fact that Notre Dame is such a big name school and everybody knows what it is, but it's also only 8,000 undergrad.
mhm.
Like I loved that idea that it was kind of continuing my trend of being on a smaller team, but still being like pretty well known, which is what I really loved about this school.
That's good. Yeah, the name carries so much weight for that. A lot of people don't realize that,
Yeah.
and it helps tremendously. So, what was that transition like from high school club and swimming back home in Virginia to now swimming on a collegiate level here at the University of Notre Dame? How was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, you think the transition's going to be easy. And I know I did. And then you get here and it's like it's hard. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like it's my freshman year was a real challenge because you go from essentially being the star of your club team, your high school team, like your state even. Like it's you're one of like three people that are probably the best and that are from your club team. And then you come to college where everybody was that person on their club team or in their state or in their region. And so it's a real reality check in a way. Like you think you're all that and then Next thing you know, you have your first swim meet and you get dead last in the 50 free, which I did a lot my freshman year.
Mhm.
Um, and so you really struggle. I struggled a lot with the sense of like, do I actually belong here? Like maybe I should have gone to a smaller D1 school or something like that. Like maybe this isn't for me. Um, and I struggled with that my whole freshman year, just that transition. And then the summer after my freshman year, like I talked with my coaches, and I just sat down and thought to myself, like, I can do this. Like I belong here. There's a reason the coaches wanted me here. There's a reason I wanted to come here. And so it was just kind of telling myself, you can do this, you belong here. And then I had a much better sophomore year. And then every year since then I've gotten better. So a lot of it is just getting through that transition, is just getting through that mentality that you belong here, even if it is harder, because at the end of the day, like if life was easy, everybody would be a D1 athlete. So you
That's
just
true.
gotta push through.
That's true. So that sense of belonging, I know we talk about it's a lot. It shows a lot within athletes and even non-athletes here. Not even just at Notre Dame. And I know you mentioned that you talk to your coaches and you kind of had that time to yourself a little bit. But was there anything else to kind of get you out of that light with your struggles freshman year of belonging here at Notre Dame?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it was just like I just went to my resources that I had. Like I talked with my then girlfriend, now wife. I talked with my parents. I talked with my coaches, as I said. Like it was just a lot of self-reflection. And then I also talked a lot with my so I was a freshman, the seniors at the time,
Mm,
or the people who would be seniors the following year, like the leaders of the team, and about like how they got through it. Because this isn't a problem like I'm the only one that's faced. Like a lot of athletes in general, especially swimmers, have struggled with this their freshman year because it's just something they're not used to. So I went to the captains on the team, I talked with them, and they told me like, hey, like we want you here, like you belong here. And then just from there, you figure it out.
mm.
You start working harder in the pool, training harder, and then the results end up coming.
So we know in this kind of generation, this lifetime, when we talk about mental health, it's kind of shown a lot for men to kind of hide their emotions and not speak out about it. So what was the courage for you? What drove you kind of to talk to your coaches, to your teammates, to open up about your struggle? Like what drove you and why were you so open in a sense?
It was just like I was, I don't know, I was disappointed in
Mm,
myself is the easiest way to say it. Like I didn't say anything my freshman year because I thought, oh, I'll get through it. Like it's just I'm just struggling, but it's because we're training so hard and I'm not in shape. But then we go to our main meet and I'm still way off my best times. So
mm,
it was just this sense that like what I was doing wasn't working. So I had to find something else, and that was just reaching out to people that I knew have had similar experiences. And yeah, I'd say that's what helped me out.
Were you comfortable reaching out to them? Because some people when they feel they reach out, they feel that they're gonna get judged and they kind of hide their emotions. So were you comfortable speaking out?
Um, I mean, not at first. I mean, it's intimidating. Like it's you feel weird going to somebody and saying like, "How can I get better?" or "What
Mm,
am I doing wrong?" Like it's hard to start that conversation. But I mean, after spending a year with my teammates, like you get to know them pretty well. Like you don't really have a problem talking with them. And so I eventually just ended up doing it. And then like in terms of like so we have like a sports psychology,
mm,
sports psych people that we can go talk to. Like I kind of went on that trend. Like I was afraid to talk to them because I was like, I don't think it's that big of a problem that I need to reach out to sports psych and figure out what's going on. So I didn't. And I didn't reach out to them until uh my senior year. It was right after my
oh,
senior year going into this fifth year because I had I had improved, I'd gotten better. I was back to my high school times, if not a little bit faster, which like isn't great, but like at least I was still somewhat going PBs.
mm,
Um, but I had hit this roadblock in my 100 fly specifically where uh the so in swimming terms like your taper meets are the meets that like you're most ready for. But like so my 100 fly, all of my rested meets, I went 46-30 every single time. Like without fail. It didn't matter how I swam it, it didn't
mm,
matter what I did, I went 46-30. And so I was really struggling with that because I was like, it seems like that's just what the best I can do. Like
mm,
I'm not gonna be able to do any better. And so that took me 4 years to build up the confidence to be like, okay, this might just be a mental block that I'm facing as to why I keep going the exact same time every single time I swim this race. So I went to sports psych this past summer, and they really just talked me through like they don't like it. You expect to sit there and they're going to give you a solution to
Mhm.
like what the problem is, but it's actually even more helpful than that because they just have you talk about how you're feeling and you just say how you feel every single time I go 46.3 or something like that. And we talked the entire summer. And then this year, I finally didn't go 46.3. I went 45.9. So
Mm.
it worked out. I used my resources. It just took me forever to finally do it.
That's good. That's good. Utilize your resources.
Yep.
That's good. So, wait, what is your current major here at the University of Notre Dame?
Yes. So I did my undergrad in environmental engineering, and then I'm currently doing a master's program also in environmental engineering. So all environmental engineering.
So, just a moment of silence.
Yeah.
Just a moment of silence for that. But you and I both know, and you kind of mentioned earlier, Notre Dame is an academic rigorous school. They demand from us day in and day out. But on top of that, you're a collegiate D1 athlete here as well on the swim and dive team. How do you balance being both a collegiate athlete as well as being in an academic rigorous school that demands so much in the classroom?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where like when you're getting recruited to Notre Dame, like you have to know that it's not just going to be athletics. Like you're expected to be a student here first and then athletics comes second. And all of that, I mean, that goes for all of the athletic department, not just swimming. So part of it is like you prepare yourself coming in that like you're going to have to work hard in the classroom and it's not just going to be a breeze. Um, I told myself that like I just told myself I could handle it. And I so there's not many engineers on the swim team. There's only like three of us, but like I would the three of us would always talk and like we would get through some of the classes we had taken together. So like we would help each other out. And then another big part of it for me that really helped me with the academic side is like not being afraid to talk to other people who aren't athletes in my classes or people in my dorm who have doing the same major as me or taking the same classes because I feel like a problem that we kind of face at athletics here is that a lot of the student athletes don't like to like meet people outside of athletics. So like that was one thing I told myself like I need to do, especially if I'm gonna want to do well academically, just because I mean people here at Notre Dame are smart. So like it's easy to like talk to them. They can help you out with solutions and stuff. So that was how I pretty much balanced the athlete student or student athlete part. Okay.
Mm, mm. So you said you kind of talked to being an athlete, you kind of moved away from the athlete side and kind of talked to the student to Notre Dame and kind of enjoyed the time. Have you enjoyed just kind of talking and being with the Notre Dame student body in a sense, aside from the athletes?
Yeah. No, I think it's great because I mean, I spend 20 plus hours a week with my teammates, and like that's a lot of time. And sometimes you need a break from them because, like, I mean, you see them all the time. So, like, the fact that, like, for me, I got pretty involved with my dorm community. So, like, I was in O'Neill, and my freshman, sophomore year, like, those are the people I would go to if, like, I didn't want to hang out with the swimmers anymore. Like, they were the people I could talk to about non-swimming related things. And it was nice to not have to talk about my sport all the time.
Mm.
So like they were a nice little refuge for me. And then also the environmental engineering major, my undergrad program was only about 20 people doing that major. So like that's also another nice small community that like I hung out with a decent amount and could talk to. And I knew that they would also be a refuge for me if I needed to talk to somebody.
That's good. Good. You need a refuge every now and then. So with being a collegiate athlete, you're gonna be prone to traveling. You're gonna go to other meets, and sometimes you may travel out of state and go to hotels. Non-athletes here in Notre Dame and other people that are listening and viewing, they may think traveling to these other states, these other meets, they're all laugh and giggles. You're gonna go to hotels, you're with your teammates, it's all fun. But a lot of people don't know it's a business trip and that sometimes you do a lot of homework too on the road.
Mm.
So could you just talk and touch a little bit on the traveling aspect from your point of view with Notre Dame with the swim and dive team?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say business trip. So our current head coach, Chris Lindauer, every single away meet we go to, he always starts off every team meeting saying, "This is a business trip." All right. So like this is serious. We're in, we're out, we're back. So like it's funny, like that's exactly what it is for us. Like,
Mhm.
yes, that has its fun parts, obviously. Like we get to hang out a little bit more. don't have to worry about school quite as much. But at the same time, it can be really stressful. So like swimming isn't like other sports where like we're traveling every week,
Mm.
but when we do have our meets, we're essentially gone for the entire week. So like for our invitational in the fall or for ACCs or NCAAs in the spring, like we're missing class from Sunday to the next Sunday. So because of that, we have to be super on top of like reaching out to our professors beforehand, like, hey, what am I going to miss for this entire week? Or like just making sure we know what homework we have to do. And a lot of that is us keeping ourselves accountable. We also keep each other accountable. So like
Mhm.
if you have more than one person in your class, like the four of them will work on this homework assignment and make sure they all get it done before the due date. Um, and also on these trips, like they're really stressful because
Really?
the swim meets start on, for example, ACC starts on Tuesday and ends on Saturday. So if you have a bad swim on Tuesday or Wednesday, you'll be stressed for that entire week. So a lot of it is learning how to like cope with not having a good swim. Like for example, we use the term like think like a goldfish essentially. Like
Mhm.
you have a bad swim, forget it, focus on the next one. Like don't worry about it. It's not going to affect your next race. But it can be hard to do that, especially when you're swimming one event a day and then you may not swim again. If you swim on Tuesday, you may not swim again until Thursday. So you have essentially 2 whole days to think about how bad that swim was. But so a lot of it is figuring out how to deal with that stress
Mhm.
as well as finishing the academic part, like finishing the homework, finish the assignments. And then on top of that, you have to compete. So there's a lot of stuff going on the trips for sure.
Wow, wow. So with that stress, if you had any, how were you able to deal with any of that stress while not only being on the road, but your time here in Notre Dame while being on the swim and dive team?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stress is like, I just always tell myself, like, we're gonna get through it. Like, it's tough. Like, I have these three assignments due in like 2 days, but once I finish those three assignments, like, I'm smooth sailing for the rest of the week. So I try to tell myself like what the good part is when I'm gonna be done with it. And that's really what helps me get through whatever stress I'm facing. When it comes to stress in terms of like swimming, like you just have to use that stress and turn it into like adrenaline in a
Mhm.
way. So like before a race, like naturally you're a little stressed because your heart's beating and you're like, all right, this is my especially being a sprinter because it's like you're a distance swimmer, you have a little bit more time to like figure out what's going on. And like you want to be calm for those races, but like for a 50 free or any other sprint event, like you want to be ready to go. You want to be activated, heart rate up, and ready to just swim fast. So you want stress in those situations. Now, obviously, too much and you'll start freaking out. But like, you want to like work on your breathing and stuff to get right to that green zone that we call
Yeah.
it, so that you can perform at your best.
Yeah, you need that. You need that. So throughout your 4 to 5 years here at the University of Notre Dame and being on the swim and dive team, I know you touched a little bit freshman year was hard for you, but other than that, or even including that, has there ever been a certain practice or just a moment or me where it just wasn't you mentally? You were kind of going through it. It was a kind of your off day in a sense. And if so, how were you able to kind of pull yourself out of that light?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that happens a lot, honestly, and I think every swimmer would tell you like there's at least one practice a week that every swimmer is just not feeling it. Like they're
Mm.
just mentally out of it or they physically feel exhausted. And part of that is just knowing that you're not the only one feeling that way. So that's what gets me through those hard practices is like typically if one person is feeling exhausted, we're all feeling exhausted because we're all doing the
Mm.
same practices. We're all doing the same training. And a lot of that is just talking to each other. So, like, if we're doing a really hard set, like every year we do this really hard set, it's 16 175s, um, essentially holding your 200 pace all out in a sense. And so, with those sets, we know what it is going into it. We know it's going to suck. Like, we know it's going to hurt. So, we'll be on like number four, and like somebody will always be like, "All right, guys, we're killing it. Keep going. We got this." And then just that encouragement we hear between every rep is what really helps us get through sets. Because
Mm.
I mean, swimming is not a sport. We can't really talk to each other while we're swimming, so like we have to
Mm.
get all of our motivation and like pick each other up every time between sets. So that's when most of it happens, and that's
Mm.
that's what gets you through the tough times.
That's true. That's good. That's good. Need that encouragement. Need that motivation.
Yep.
So, what does a typical practice look like for you with the swim and dive team here at Notre Dame?
Yeah. So our practices vary a lot. We have like a weekly schedule in a way, but
Mm,
essentially, like a typical day, we would go a morning practice from like 6 to 7:30 in the morning, and then we have afternoon practice from 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon, and then either we have a lift. We lift 3 times a week, and we lift either after morning practice or after afternoon practice. So we on our busy days we're going right on 4 hours of work a day.
mm,
And then within those practices they vary. We have practices that are predominantly kick sets. We have practices that are get up and race. Like we're not going to do a lot of yardage, but it'll be just all fast, all out. And then we have our aerobic practices where you're essentially just doing yardage. Like there's a
mm.
purpose to it, like it's keeping you in shape. It's kind of cardio, but like those types of practices, they're just long. I don't really like him as a sprinter, but I mean, you need him. So, I mean, there's a lot of variation. And then, like, if you're a distance swimmer, obviously you do more longer practices. If you're a sprinter, you do more get up and go type of practices. So it varies depending on the person.
Wow, I've always wanted to know what the practice looks like for the swim and dive team. It was just interesting. Wow. So you ended up continuing your career at Notre Dame and going to graduate school. And was swimming and going to the Olympics for swimming, was that ever an option in the back of your mind in a sense? Because you have two pathways of either continuing swimming and going to the Olympics or
Mhm.
kind of going within your major and graduate from Notre Dame. And you kind of, you graduate from Notre Dame, you have a full-time job waiting for you. What was kind of the motivation of you going that route instead of the Olympic swimming?
Yeah. So, I mean, to put it bluntly, it's just I'm not fast enough to make the Olympic team.
Mm,
I mean, you never know. So, like, I am still so I went to Olympic trials in 2021, and then this summer I'm going to Olympic trials again for one event. And like you never know. Like I could qualify. Uh there's probably like 100 or so people that made the cut, and then out of those 100 they take the fastest two to go to the Olympics. So like it's a really difficult um it's a really difficult meet to make. I mean, it's the Olympics. Obviously, it's going to be hard to make. And
mm,
so, like, you have to be like the real cream of the crop to make the Olympic team.
mm,
And typically, those are the people who go pro and actually make money off of swimming. And I knew pretty early on, like, I knew in high school that, like, I probably wasn't going to make an Olympic team. Like, I kind of knew my ceiling was going to be like a good college swimmer. Like, I could possibly make nationals and then help out on the relays where I could, which is what I've tried to do in my time here. But like in terms of like international swimming, like I would have loved to do it, but I kind of knew that I would have to drop a lot of time to make an Olympic team or make a world's team. Um, we have some guys on our team that have a good shot at making the Olympics this summer. And a decent, and some of them are going for other countries too, which is also really cool. But for me, I knew I wanted to go to trials, give it a shot. If I make
mm.
it, great. If I don't, that's okay. I have a job waiting for me. So
Amen.
it all works out for me. I'm excited.
That's good. That's good. So if you ever got that call from the Olympics, would you ever take upon that call, or
Yeah,
would you stay?
for sure. I'm not going to turn down a chance to represent Team USA. So
Amen.
I
Amen.
would love to do that.
That's good. That's good. So, Casey, one final question before we wrap things up. What advice would you give to our listeners and viewers out there on their mental health journey?
Yeah. I mean, I would say biggest piece of advice, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is just like whether it's college athletics or going into your first like full-time job or anything like that, just tell yourself you belong. Like they want you there for a reason. If they didn't, they wouldn't hire you or they wouldn't have recruited you. So it's like don't be thinking you don't belong there, because once you tell yourself you don't belong, it's a downward spiral and it's just going to get worse. Like you're there for a reason. You're useful to the company or the school or whatever it may be. And once you get that through your head, like it's the sky's the limit. Like anything's possible.
Amen. Amen. You belong. You belong.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, Casey, for coming on to this episode of Regis Reflections. Regis recipients, y'all heard it from the man right here, Casey. Thank you for taking time and joining us and spreading the gospel, the truth in your journey. I hope all goes well and congratulations on graduating. Proud of you. Good, 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 good. But Regis recipients, thank y'all for tuning into this episode. Remember, you matter. Your mental health matters. It's your boy JD, and I'm out.